So I have a blank ArcPro map and I've inserted a blank new map and I just have a couple base maps chosen here. And you can see that there's no data on the map, but I've downloaded, saved and downloaded the Hawthorne School image from Canvas, and now I'm going to add it to the map. And you'll see in the top right that it says unknown coordinate system, and that's because there's no coordinate system attached to the map. It's not georeferenced, so we don't know where in the world this image is located, which is what we're going to do today, is fix that. So let's zoom to this image, and you can see it's in the middle of the ocean. And we know Hawthorne School is located in San Luis Obispo, California. So we're going to navigate all the way to San Luis Obispo in California and find Hawthorne School. I happen to know where it is. If you don't, you can Google it or just follow along here. So here's the city boundaries. There's Cerro San Luis, and I know that it's near High Street Deli, one of my favorite sandwich spots in town. And it's actually labeled on this base map, which is nice. So we're going to georeference this image by adding points. And you always want to start with control points on the image itself and then click on the map second. So to do that, we're going to select the raster layer. Nope, we're not going to select that. We're going to select imagery and then georeference. You could tell I don't even have all these ribbons and the tools in each ribbon memorized, and that's okay. Sometimes you can just click through the ribbons and perhaps you'll find it until you actually have it memorized. So yeah, under imagery ribbon, I'm going to select georeference. And now I'm ready to georeference, but since I'm already in the area, I want the image to be finalized and be located, then I'm going to select, let's see, I want the button that says fit to display. So you click that, and then as you can see, the image appears in the display, in your map display. And so if it's covering the school, just move a bit over and then select fit to display again. Actually, you should probably zoom in until you can find Hawthorne School. So I want it to kind of be up here. There we go. Okay, so there's Hawthorne School, and it might need a little manipulation as far as moving the map so that the image isn't covering where you want it to end up. So as you could tell, this image is quite enlarged compared to what this scale is showing the elementary school as. So we're going to fix that by georeferencing. And to do that, we need to add control points. So like I said, you always start with the image, and we're going to start adding control points. And you might want to, instead of topographic and hillshade, your base map should probably be an aerial. So go to map, and then let's change the base map to imagery. So you have some aerial imagery. So as you could tell, this Hawthorne's elementary school on the base map looks a lot like this image, but obviously they're different scales. So we're going to add control points so that they match on top of each other. So let's do that first by selecting georeference and then add control points. And you want to add control points on distinguishing elements and factors within the image. So I'm going to zoom in to the border of this baseball field and select right there. Okay, so I clicked and just click and let go, and that's adding the control point for the image. And then I'm going to scroll out, and I'm going to scroll in on the base map and select the same area, the same spot on the base map. So then I'll click and let go. And now I have my first control point, 1 out of 1, complete. You need 3 in order to fully georeference an image. So we have to do this a few more times. And if you want it to be even more accurate, then you can add more control points. But sometimes that doesn't always help, and I'll get into that in a bit. So let's add our second control point. We're going to, and you can see the image has moved so that the 2 control points are on top of each other. But we still need to scale down this image and georeference quite a bit. So now let's go to the other side of the baseball field, since we could see this corner. It's not covered by any tree canopy. I'm going to select right at the corner on the image, okay? And you could see here that my Hawthorne Elementary School on the base map is covered by this image. So we will need to go up to raster layer, and it's okay to click the ribbons right now in between control points. And we want to change the transparency to nearly 100 so that we can actually see the Hawthorne Elementary School. So now I could see that other side of the baseball field. Go back to georeference ribbon and complete your second control point. Okay? And you can periodically press save. Save early and often is always a motto of my class because softwares crash. And then go back to raster layer and let's change that transparency back to 0 or even 50. 50-ish is fine. And you could see it's starting to line up and look as if it should on the base map. But we want to add some more control points. So now let's use one of the buildings as a control point. So we'll transparency 0, and let's go to the edge of this building that's about in the center of the image. And you have to go back to the georeference ribbon, press add control point, and I'm going to zoom in and get this edge of the building. And it gets a little pixelated as you zoom in closer, so sometimes that doesn't always help. Okay, so I clicked on the image, and now I'm going to click on the base map. And to do that, I need to change the transparency and zoom in and see it's getting quite close. And click the edge of the building. Okay, so that's 3 control points. And to really analyze these control points, we want to open up the control point table. So let's hit save. It's always good practice. And then select control point table. And you can see it shows up on the bottom. You can undock it if you'd like and move it around, but I actually like this view, so I'm going to keep it. And really what we want to look at is the residual here on the right. So these are great numbers. Oftentimes you'll see like to the 10th or 100th of a decimal, and that means there is some error in some of your control points. So as an example, you don't need to do this 4th control point, but I will add a control point to the image. So let's change the transparency so I could see it again. Georeference, add control point. And let's add a control point to the edge right there. Did it click? Sometimes it doesn't click. Okay. And now I will go back to transparency. And let's add it right here. But see, I'm a little off. I did that on purpose to demonstrate that this residual is now 1.09, and it's actually affected all the other control point residuals. So you can remove and delete some control points that are skewing the rest of the data. So I'm going to do that now. So I will, and you can delete or you can just uncheck. So if I uncheck this, it's telling me that, oh, wow. So the residuals go back to 0, and that means this control point is probably not good. So we're going to delete it. And there's icons at the top. If you hover over, it'll tell you which one is which. So we're going to delete that one. I'm going to stop here, but feel free to play around and add more control points. And especially you could tell if the image doesn't look very lined up. So you can play with the transparency slider and see. Let's close this control table. See how I still could add some more control points because it looks like it could be further georeferenced. And so I would advise adding control points over here so that when you see this street, it doesn't really line up with the rest of the base map. Try to get that georeferenced more accurately. And then from there, once you feel good about your control points, and practice makes perfect. So if you continue practicing at control points and removing them, looking at the residuals, seeing which control points are affecting your other points negatively, then you can feel good about your georeferenced image, and you can either export it, and you can always hit save, and then export control points if you want to export the points and save them so you have them for later. You can select yes and export those. And then you can also share as a map. So just like you would in your Intro to GIS class, you can close the georeference. So now it's saved, and it's going to be georeferenced to this area from here on further, and you can insert new layout, and then insert your map. And today's lab activity, I just want you to insert a map of Hawthorne Elementary. I like to use guides, especially in the layouts, so that it's all symmetrical. And then be sure to add the 5 essential map elements, which is a north arrow. And there's a lot of white space down here, but for the purpose of this map, this is okay because we're just showing an aerial image with surrounding base map imagery of Hawthorne Elementary School. Maybe I don't want the 0.03, it's not really necessary. So you could just adjust the number of divisions. You can adjust the frequency of the numbers, so you just want division and first midpoint, or just divisions. Then that'll drop off the 0.03. And then there's no data on here other than Hawthorne School. We don't need to add a legend, but let's add a title that says Hawthorne School Elementary. And I want it to be more emphasized than the rest of the base map. So I actually am going to go back to map. And then on the world imagery, I'm going to make it slightly transparent, because I want the Hawthorne School to really pop. Something like that would work, around 50%. Okay, let's go back to layout. Okay, that's perfect. And then we are going to insert a title. Probably gonna come up quite big, that's okay. We'll change it after, Hawthorne Elementary School. Text symbol. We don't need it 84, let's make it 22. Apply. I actually want to add where we are in the world, in case this is for other people outside San Luis Obispo. So we'll do San Luis Obispo, California. And I want that centered. Position, that's it. And apply. And that looks good. So we got north arrow, scale bar, title. Oh, and we need author and date. So let's put this down here. And then we'll make the date whatever today's date is. I'll just do February 10th, 2024. And select OK and put that in the lower corner. Let's do a guide down here. And so what you can do with this georeferenced image is you can then further digitize it. So you could make data, so you can create feature classes that show the buildings and the streets and the trees as a point feature class. Buildings would be a polygon feature class. There's many more things you could do now that you have an accurately georeferenced image that maybe shows more detail than a said base map. And there's a lot of white space here, like I said, but for today's purpose, today's objective of the lab, this will do just fine. Okay, so you can just share it as, just hit export layout, share as a PDF, and then you can upload this to Canvas. Thanks.